So, what does it really mean to be the greatest? In the epic Mahabharata, that question is about so much more than just skill. It's about privilege, it's about sacrifice, and it's about a system that's kind of designed to protect its own. Today, we're going to dive into the story of India's most legendary archers to really unpack this whole idea of greatness.
And it all kicks off with this one single powerful promise. It's a solemn vow from the master teacher Drona to his absolute favorite student, the young Prince Arjuna. And this one vow, well, it sets in motion a chain of events that's going to define a whole generation and lead to a pretty cataclysmic war.
Now, here's what's really interesting. Drona's promise wasn't just some random thing. Nope, Arjuna earned it. The kid was relentless. He followed Drona everywhere, absolutely determined to learn every single secret, even practicing archery blindfolded in the middle of the night. It was that persistence, that sheer grit that convinced Drona to make this massive vow. But this is the question that just hangs over the entire epic, isn't it? To make one guy the greatest, what do you have to do to everybody else? As you're about to see, fulfilling this promise came at a completely devastating price, not for Arjuna, but for anyone who even dared to challenge him. Okay, so let's start with the man himself, Arjuna. What made him so special? Well, more than anything, it was his almost insane, laser-like focus. And honestly, there is no better way to understand this than the famous test of the parrot's eye. So, Drona gets all his students together. He points to this stuffed bird way up high on a wall and asks them, one by one, what do you see? The first prince, Yudhishthira, he gives a pretty simple, direct answer. I see a parrot. Okay, a good start, but not quite what the master's looking for. Of course, next up is Duryodhana. And you know this guy, always competitive. He tries to one-up his cousin, adding a little more detail. I see a stuffed parrot placed on top of a wall. Each student tries to be more descriptive than the last. They're seeing the bird, the wall, the sky. They see everything. And then it's Arjuna's turn. And his answer is just chillingly precise. He doesn't see the bird or the wall or the sky. He sees only the target. I see an eye. Only an eye. And Drona just says, release the arrow. This just perfectly shows you the mindset that made this guy such a prodigy. But Arjuna's path to greatness wasn't going to be a walk in the park. See, deep in the forest, this incredible talent was emerging, someone completely outside the established system. His name was Ekalavya. So get this, Ekalavya had gone to Drona, basically begged to be taught, but he was turned away, flat out rejected. But instead of giving up, he went back to the forest, built a clay statue of Drona, and with pure faith as his guide, he taught himself. His dedication was just absolute. Now, to really get why he was rejected, you have to understand the super rigid social structure of the time. Ekalavya was a nishada, a forest dweller. He was an outsider. And for him to learn a warrior skill like archery, well, that was seen as a major violation of the social order, an order that was all about keeping people in their place. So one day, the princes are out hunting, and they find their dog with its mouth full of arrows, totally silenced but completely unharmed. I mean, a feat of impossible skill. Arjuna is just shaken. He immediately runs to Drona, his insecurity flaring up, and he reminds him of that promise. Drona goes to investigate and finds Ekalavya, who is just overjoyed to meet the man he considers his master. But Drona, remembering his vow to Arjuna, only sees a threat. So he gets crafty and asks for a teacher's fee. And his demand, man, it is cold, it's cruel, and it is absolutely calculated. And without even a second of hesitation, Ekalavya slices off his own right thumb and places it at Drona's feet. So here's the crucial point, right? Drona didn't make Arjuna greater by teaching him more. No, he made him the greatest by literally crippling the competition. I mean, when you lay it all out like this, the injustice is just so clear. One path is completely paved with privilege. You get the best teachers, formal training, the promise of glory. The other path is a testament to raw talent and faith, and that path leads not to a reward, but to a brutal punishment designed to keep the whole system exactly as it is. But Ekalavya wasn't the only threat to Arjuna's promised spot at the top. Just when Arjuna was about to be crowned the undisputed champion, a third archer steps out of the shadows. And he's not just challenging his skill, he's challenging the very idea of his privilege.
Okay, picture the scene. The crowd is just roaring for Arjuna, the star pupil. He's showing off his incredible skills. He's the undisputed champ. And then, all of a sudden, a new warrior enters. He's dazzling in golden armor, just radiating confidence and power.
He introduces himself as Karna and issues a direct challenge that sends a shockwave through the entire arena. He doesn't just match Arjuna's feats, he actually surpasses them. The crowd is completely stunned. Here, finally, is an archer who is Arjuna's equal. Maybe even better. But just as the duel of a lifetime is about to start, Karna's adoptive father, a humble charioteer, rushes out to hug him. And the mood, it just instantly sours. Suddenly, this isn't about skill anymore. It's about social status. Bhima's shout really captures the whole conflict. Your talent doesn't matter if your birth isn't considered right. So you see the pattern here, right? For both Ekalavya and Karna, daring to show their talent in a world that just wasn't built for them, it was going to lead to tragedy. Their stories are a really stark reminder of the price you pay for defying a rigid social order. Karna's whole life is just a series of tragic ironies. I mean, he was secretly born a prince to a god, but was abandoned at birth and raised by a charioteer. He was denied training by Drona, which forced him to lie about who he was just to learn from another master. And that one lie, it would end up being his doom. His teacher, Parashurama, figures out that Karna isn't who he says he is and, just in a fit of rage, curses him. He decrees that Karna will forget the most important things he's learned at the exact moment he needs them most. It's a curse that will completely seal his fate in his final epic battle against his great rival, Arjuna. And that was it. The lines were drawn. That public humiliation at the tournament, the sheer injustice of the system, it pushed Karna right into the arms of Arjuna's enemies. And that cemented a rivalry that was just as personal as it was political. So on one side, you've got Arjuna, the celebrated prince, the hero by birthright. His path totally cleared for him. And on the other, you've got Karna, the scorned outsider, a hero by pure merit, whose every single step was a struggle against the very system that was propping his rival up. Which, of course, brings us all the way back to our central question. The Mahabharata doesn't give us an easy answer. It shows us three incredible archers, each one great in his own way, but it forces us to ask, what is the true measure of greatness? Is it the focus of the chosen one, the faith of the outsider, or the defiance of the one who was scorned? When the game is rigged, who do you really call a hero?